And welcome to another edition of DT Live. Today marks my 500th video here on the DistroTube channel, so I thought we'd do a live stream today to celebrate. And several of you are already hanging out in the YouTube chat. 500th. Sorry guys, let me mute the stream here. I had the stream open. You guys hanging out in the YouTube chat, you guys give me a yay or a nay as far as the audio. Make sure we're good before we get started. Haven't had audio issues on a live stream in a long time, but every now and then you get them where you start talking and the next thing you know, you've talked for 15 minutes on a live stream and ain't nobody heard anything. So I'm going to try to catch up on some of the early YouTube chat, those of you that were here before the stream, if I can. Yeah, so yo mama shots. All right, thanks for hanging out, appreciate that. Oh, very chatty. Lots of ex-monad talk, very cool. Yeah, Paul says congrats on the big 500. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. GFY, of course, is in the chat. How you doing, Mr. GFY? Yeah, Bob says, here's to the next 500. Oh, yeah. The second 500 will go a lot quicker than the first 500, probably. It's one of those things, if you only knew then what you know now. All right. Yeah. The Santh developer. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah. He says, I made 50 videos and 500 videos. It's really great. Yeah. I'm surprised I've made that many. When, you know, you start out, I mean, I really didn't know what I was going to do with the channel. You know, certainly I never thought I would have this many people interested in the content as far as the number of views I get on some of this stuff. And to make 500 videos, yeah, that's... Of course, now it just seems like a normal part of my routine is, you know, doing this stuff on YouTube. So, hopefully this will be something long term. I know I'd probably miss this if I didn't do this, and you know, I'd probably miss the interaction with the community. Yeah, so back to the chat. Audio is good. Yeah, yay, 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 yay. Audio is good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Big Pod. Hey, DT, congrats. Thank you, Big Pod. Cody, thanks for the super chat. Much appreciated. Did you have a question, Cody? I noticed you didn't leave one in the super chat. If you got a question or comment, you can throw it out there, though. I'll try to look for it here. Yeah, Unique Johnny says, I didn't get a notification, just saw the stream on the front page. Yeah, and I actually gave a notification of this stream at least 12 hours in advance, which is something I normally don't do. Typically, when I decide to do a live stream, I just decide to do a live stream. You guys get no notification. So you had at least half a day to get a notification. But I've mentioned this many, many times on this channel, is that YouTube is horribly broken. And it's not just you guys don't get my notifications. I don't get other people that I'm subscribed to notifications. You know, it's just... YouTube is just bad. So if you want like real notifications as far as when I'm doing stuff, I'm over on Mastodon. Those of you that want to follow me over on Mastodon, I've got about 1,500 of you guys following me over on Mastodon. And typically, as soon as I upload a video, I post it over on Mastodon. So that's good if you just want some kind of notification system just in case the YouTube notification system isn't working for you. Yeah, TJ. Hey, DT. Congrats. Thank you, TJ. Andy says congrats. Appreciate that, Andy. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. GFY says, you're doing good. Fully switched to Arco Linux with ArcStrike repos. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm still on Arco on the main production machine myself. Yeah, Sir Button Smash said, this is why you put the bell icon on. It doesn't matter sometimes. I mean, I've got the bell icon on pretty much everybody I'm subscribed to. And yeah, sometimes I just don't get the notifications. Yeah, Dean Allen says, evening, Derek. My dude. 8 p.m. here in England. Yeah, I know this is getting a little late for those of you in Europe. Well, I guess 8 p.m. is not that bad. I would have liked to have done this stream a little earlier, so like morning here in the US is like early evening in Europe, and that way it kind of covers all bases. Well, not those of you in Australia, unfortunately, but unfortunately time zones, right? So yeah, Dark One says congrats, appreciate that, Matt, much appreciated. Yeah, Kuberjan says YouTube is broken and bloated. Absolutely. All right, guys, and while we're waiting, so apparently not everybody got the notification, so we'll wait a little bit before we get into any kind of main topics here. I did want to check in on the IRC chat. So those of you that want to hang out with some folks and chat about Linux and life pretty much 24/7, join the DistroTube channel over on the Freenode network. We always have a good group of people hanging out there, friendly crowd. They can hopefully answer some of your questions you have about Linux, and, you know, off-topic stuff is fine there. Jackfly26 was hanging out there. He was mentioning he was having some fun with tiling window managers. Tiling window managers are great. Andy says, I'm not a big fan of i3. I'm not a huge fan of i3 myself. And then there was a discussion in the IRC about gaps versus no gaps. Gaps are for screenshots only. In real life, I don't think anybody that uses a tiling window manager really uses gaps. It's just wasted space. I mean, what's the point? So Cletus asks, DT, what distro is next on your radar? As far as putting on like physical equipment and maybe trying to live in, you know, when I decide to move away from Arco on the main production machine, I'll probably go to Void. I've been kind of thinking about living in Void for a while, giving it a try. As far as just distros to check out, you know, like on extra machines or in a VM or anything, I'm definitely going to take a look at Endeavor very soon. A lot of you guys have been asking about that. Yeah, Torin is asking, anyone else video stuttering? The audio is fine, but the video is bad. As far as my internet connection, I mean, I've got the little green box in OBS, so the stream health looks good in OBS. I don't know. You may try to refresh the stream, though. Of course, sometimes it's not anything I can control, as far as sometimes the stream health is just fine, but sometimes YouTube is just acting up. Yeah, DT, when will we get the Endeavor OS video? I have no idea. I'm not sure on that one. What? You know what? I don't even have the Endeavor ISO. Let's go to Endeavor OS. Wonder if I could actually download the ISO without destroying the stream. Let's see, SourceForge. Which one do we want here? Probably want the one with 825 downloads. That's probably the most recent. Yep, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to save that bad boy. See how big that is. 1.3 gigs. Oh. You know what? It may cause the stream to buffer a little bit. Yeah, Big Pod, the video is stuttering for you as well. Yeah. I don't have anything going on here at the house. Well, now that I started downloading that ISO, we may get some issues. See how long the download will take. It'll take at least 30 minutes. Yeah, I better just pause that download. I'll take care of that after the stream. But I'll definitely get on Endeavor very shortly. Yeah, EB says, hey, Derek and all. How you doing, Steve? Yeah, +1, video stuttering, maybe System D issues. We can't blame everything on System D. I would probably blame this on GNOME, to be honest. And yes, I'm still on GNOME. So, this is my GNOME desktop still. A lot of you guys really like the monk staring at the wall with the Arch logo on it. A lot of you guys asked for that wallpaper in that video I did about the Albert launcher. So what I need to do one day is upload like all of my wallpapers to Imager or to my GitLab page or somewhere where you guys can just pull all those wallpapers down. Yeah, Telstrus, Derek starts 4 torrents in the background for better stream performance. Yeah, that's something I've never been afraid of, though. I used to wreck some streams. Downloading ISOs. Yeah, so, I mean, we're talking about some of the history of the channel. I've I've downloaded ISOs in the middle of streams, which just wrecked streams. I mean, I've done like command line internet installs of things like, Arch and, Antergos and those kind of internet installs on live streams before. And yeah, we got some really bad quality streams back in the day. So one of the things that I've learned or I've tried to correct is, not to do anything that just wrecks the internet while I'm streaming. I know early on, a lot of you guys got a kick, especially out of some of the really bad streams I did back in the day. Matter of fact, that little montage video I did last night, one of the clips in that was that famous Antics video I did. I did a live stream. I had just installed Antics. And I figured, you know what? Since I just installed it, let's live stream from inside Antics. Now, I pointed Antics to the SID repositories in Debian. That's the unstable repositories. And without really checking to see if everything was working correctly, I just started streaming. And nothing was working correctly when I started that stream. The computer completely froze. I couldn't move anything. I couldn't open any programs, couldn't close any programs. And that was an 1.5-hour live stream where I just sat there, just basically staring at the camera and talking with you guys because I could see the YouTube chat. I couldn't type in the YouTube chat. Eventually, to kill that stream, what I ended up having to do was I had to power off the machine. I couldn't close out OBS. I couldn't drop down into a TTY prompt. Literally nothing. No keyboard or mouse functions would work at all. And, we had those kinds of train wreck streams a lot. There was one stream where you guys in the chat were telling me I was having audio issues. And I said, well, I can fix that. First of all, let me open up a terminal. And then I typed kill all pulse to kill pulse audio. And yeah, that wasn't a good live stream. You don't want to kill pulse audio while you're live streaming. Appreciate the super chat there. Synkwitch, found your channel recently and have used it for opinions on alternatives to Xmonad. Impressed with how much your production has improved over 2 years. Backed on Patreon Friday. Excited to see where you go in the future. Thank you. As far as alternatives to Xmonad, there's many of them. If you like how Xmonad does things, as far as you like the way it handles multi-monitors and everything, but maybe you just don't like that it's written in Haskell, Qtile functions very similarly to Xmonad. It's just written in Python. You might try Qtile. DWM may work for you. It's very minimal, very fast. It's not unlike Xmonad. Xmonad, in a lot of ways, is kind of suckless in philosophy, similar to DWM. They do some things differently, but I really liked my month that I lived in DWM as well. Thanks for the super chat. Red Robo's Workshop. Yeah, he says, congratulations on 500 videos, Derek. Thank you, Rob. All right, YouTube down-throttled me to 240p. That was ugly. It seems like YouTube does some load balancing. My internet connection is way too good for that. Yeah, it could be. You know what? Now that I'm looking at the OBS health, I'm green, but it does drop down into the yellow occasionally just for a few seconds. I'm not sure what that's about, but it always pops back up to green pretty quickly. But the thing with YouTube, when it does, for whatever reason, drop you out of 1080 into 240p or something, really low resolution like that, you never just go back to 1080 on your own. You have to refresh the stream, it seems. I don't know why YouTube does that. Yeah, Peter says, killing pulse audio during a live stream. Yes. I've done some weird things that I didn't think about before I did. Like dropping into a TTY prompt while streaming, thinking I could come back and OBS and everything would be fine. It's not usually the case. I've many times had issues where I actually had to quit out of the window manager I was in and come back and restart the stream. That's happened more than a few times. Land Shark, for those asking the question. Yeah, so I'm loving DWM, but I am not a power user, though. You don't have to be a power user to use tiling window managers. I mean, when I switched to Linux full-time on the desktop, that was about 11 or 12 years ago, one of the very first window managers I found within 6 months of using Linux was Openbox. I wasn't a power user, but I felt comfortable in it. And within a year of switching to Linux, I was on Xmonad. And I knew nothing about, well, I won't say I knew nothing about programming. I definitely knew zero Haskell, though. And I was fine with Xmonad. I mean, I got up and running with it pretty quickly. Just depends on, how comfortable you are. If you're one of those kind of do-it-yourself kind of people that don't mind reading a little bit, reading a wiki, trial and error, going to GitHub or GitLab and finding other people's configs and maybe plugging in some of what they've done, see what works for you, see what doesn't. Yeah, thanks for the super chat there, Steven. Suckless for the win. I agree. That's how I've made GNOME really usable for me is, instead of using the horrible GNOME dash launcher thingy. Man, that thing is just, D menu. You guys didn't get to see D menu because it opened on the wrong monitor. How about that monitor? Yeah, I just use D menu for everything. If I want to, open something, I could even give it, terminal kind of commands, like shell commands. I could tell it to open up ST and then open up htop in ST. It's just the kinds of things you couldn't do in that GNOME launcher anyway. Dmenu will pretty much take any command you want to give it. Dmenu, of course, is very customizable, where, I have this little script that opens dmenu. It has pretty much a lot of my common config files that I edit on a regular basis. That way, if I want to, edit my bash RC, for instance, it opens it in ST in Vim. So, by the way, Super Shift C to close windows. I basically turned GNOME into a tiling window manager. Because as a standard floating window manager, GNOME is kind of putrid, right? I don't like how it works at all. The one thing GNOME got right, though, is the snapping effect for Windows, and you can do that with the keyboard. So, like, if I wanted to, I can highlight this and super left arrow or super right arrow, super up, super down. So I do like that it has some keyboard functionality that makes things a bit easier. Yeah, Mike says, by the way, seems like YouTube keeps on not informing me of your new videos, but I visit your channel every day. Huh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, as far as we've already discussed, the notification system on YouTube doesn't work. It doesn't work for anybody. It's not just you. And it's not just my channel as far as people not getting notifications. It's every channel I'm subscribed to. Sometimes I'll come across channels I'm subscribed to. I've got the notification bell on, and I'll see that they're live streaming, but I never got the notification. Not here on my desktop, in the browser, not on my phone. Or sometimes I'll get a notification on one, but not the other. Yeah, Mitchell says, how easy is Haskell? Not easy. Not easy at all. Jonathan says, awesome is awesome. I would agree with that. Awesome is great. Yeah, Debian stable. Yeah, since I made that video about a week, 2 weeks ago, about, what was it, Debian versus Arch. Of course, that was a bit tongue-in-cheek. I was just basically running down, some of the pros of each distribution, Debian and Arch. And the reason I picked those two distributions is because they're maybe my two favorite distributions. I love Debian. Debian stable, great on a server. Typically, if I'm doing a server, like a web server or something, it's always going to be Debian stable, or maybe Ubuntu LTS, or CentOS. I used CentOS a lot in the past. On the desktop, though, I don't like old and crusty. So these days, Arch makes a lot of sense. I like rolling release distributions. I like having the latest packages. I like being able to find everything as far as software that I want to find. So Arch makes a little more sense for me on the desktop. Arch would, of course, be terrible on a server. Although, strangely enough, there are like some web hosting companies out there that actually offer Arch on a server, which just blows my mind. I can't imagine using Arch on a server, just for stability reasons, right? Of course, there's going to be folks in the chat that are just going to blow up and say Arch is the most stable thing ever. I've never had it break. And what I would say to all you people is you're lying, or you've only been using it for about a week. I can understand you've never had Arch break to the point where you need to format the drive and reinstall. Yes, I haven't had those kind of issues in a long time myself. But to say things never break, come on. You have minor little paper cuts every now and then. Yeah, it's retro. I'm always confused on how to customize Openbox. Yeah, Openbox is a little tough because of how minimal it is, and you pretty much have to configure everything about Openbox yourself as far as a standard vanilla Openbox install. Of course, there are distros out there that give you a pre-configured Openbox experience, things like Bunsen Labs, Arch Labs, Manjaro has an Openbox edition. Crunchbang Plus is a great Openbox. If you like Openbox on Debian, was it a Salient OS? The one with the Openbox? Yeah, it was great. There's like half a dozen really good Openbox distros out there. Archbang is a good one, although the install for Archbang can be a little tough if you're a new user. If you're struggling configuring Openbox, I probably wouldn't try to install Archbang. DWM like Openbox would be cool, says Big Pod. Yeah. And Yo Mama Shots, have you used Rofi? I've used Rofi a lot in the past. When I first started this channel, Rofi was the launcher I used when I was living in Openbox for those first few months of the channel. And then when I moved to Qtile, I was using Rofi the whole time. Now, I moved to dmenu from Rofi mainly when I switched to DWM because I wanted to do the whole suckless experience. I wanted to do DWM, dmenu, ST, the terminal, surf, the browser. I still have surf installed on here somewhere. If I can pull it up. This is the suckless browser, so if I go to surf and suckless.org, I'm going to launch it with dmenu. You guys are not seeing dmenu here because it's on a different monitor, but this is surf. So, still got it installed. I don't do much with surf these days. I actually haven't fired it up in a while. So let me relaunch that. I know you guys didn't get to see any of that, mainly because the monitor doesn't have focus. One thing is it's hard to focus the monitors I want to focus in GNOME. It's a little bit different than the tiling window managers I've been using. If I type surf and suckless.org, this will open surf at suckless.org. But yeah, so when I moved to DWM and ST and dmenu and surf, dmenu and ST, I've just stayed with because they work. Dmenu especially, I just think it's the best run launcher out there. It's simple, not bloated at all. It's very customizable. You can do some simple scripting with it to make it do pretty much anything. ST is as good a terminal emulator as any other, so I've just kind of stayed with ST. Surf is not a good browser. It's passable as a browser, but that's about it. Surf is not a great browser. DWM was a fantastic tiling window manager. I'd have no problem living in DWM. Let's see. Sorry, catching back up on some of the chat. What about Arco's Openbox? I haven't tried Arco's Openbox in a while. I've never installed it on any of my machines. I've done a ton of Arco installs on my actual machines, but I've never done Openbox with Arco. I'm sure it's great though. I've installed Arco Awesome several times. I've installed Arco BSPWM on one of the laptops a while back. Had it on that laptop like 2 or 3 months. Worked fine. I installed Arco Xmonad on one of the laptops. I installed Arco Qtile a couple of times. Yeah, I mean, all the Arco editions have been fine for all the ones I've tried anyway. I can't imagine they do anything bad. Haven't found one that I thought, you know what, you guys missed the mark on that. They seem to do well on all the window managers that they're supporting. Which, getting back to, some of the history of the channel, go back to my video list and go to some of the oldest videos. I'll sort by the oldest video really early on in the channel. Like, not even 10 videos in. I covered Qtile, a tiling window manager written in Python. And when I made that video, I was still running Openbox all the time, but shortly after that, I kind of left Openbox behind and moved to Qtile for a few months on the channel. And I did several videos. I've probably done 3 or 4 videos discussing Qtile kind of in depth. And that was one of the unique aspects about my channel early on, is there were 2 window managers that I spent some serious time sharing with you guys. One was Openbox. That's why, a lot of you guys that have been here forever know about my love for Openbox. But the other one was Qtile. And the cool thing about Qtile is nobody knew about Qtile. I had been using Qtile on and off for probably, 6, 7 years. The first time I found Qtile and, lived in it a few months, go to something else, come back to it, as I often do. I hop window managers. But nobody talks about Qtile at all. You can't find anything about Qtile really in print journalism. You can't find YouTube videos about Qtile, or you couldn't 2 years ago. And you go to things like the subreddit Unix porn and look for, they have these beautiful screenshots of all these window managers, especially tiling window managers. You see a ton of things with i3 and Awesome and Xmonad. You never saw a screenshot of Qtile. Like, seriously, no one knew Qtile even existed. And I had been using it for years. And I tried to give Qtile a little more attention here on the channel, especially in the early days. And it's one of the things I feel proud about, is because people took notice. Now, there's actually, when I do a search on YouTube for Qtile, there's actually videos that come up. Other people have taken a look at it because I kind of promoted it as much as I did. I know when I go to the Unix porn subreddit now, it's not unusual for me to find Qtile screenshots on there. Arco Linux, we were talking about Arco Linux. They make a Qtile edition. I'm not going to say they made it for me, but certainly I doubt those guys, some of the developers behind Qtile, would have even, or behind Arco, would have ever even heard of Qtile had it not been, some of me pushing that. So that's one of the things, because I really think the Qtile team deserve a lot of credit and a lot more attention than they were getting, and still are getting. I mean, it's still not a very common window manager that people run. It's one of those, it's really underrated, vastly underrated. As far as functionality, it functions, like I mentioned earlier, the way it functions is very, very similar to the way Xmonad functions. as far as how it handles multi-monitors and everything like that. The difference is it comes with a panel built in by default, and that panel is great. And it's written in Python instead of Haskell, which is great if you're not a Haskell programmer, and probably very, very few of you guys in the chat know any Haskell. Yeah, it makes things a lot easier. As far as speed, it's just a window manager. So the folks that say Python is slow, yeah, Python is slow for some things, but we're not doing anything really, that requires massive computational kind of stuff. It's just a window manager. All it does is draws the window on the screen and determines where they're placed on the screen. That's all a window manager is. So the speed difference between Qtile and Xmonad, which is written in Haskell, which is a blazing fast language, is not noticeable. I'm being honest. I've got DWM, which is written in C, Xmonad, which is written in Haskell, and Qtile, which is written in Python, all on the system. And I log into all of them. And I never log into Qtile and ever go, wow, this thing is so much slower. You don't even notice it because, again, it's just a window manager. It's not asking Python to do something it's really not capable of doing. I'm going to catch back up on some of the YouTube chat. I know I went off on a little rant there. And of course, Python is so bad. Python is bloat. Python is a slow language. Of course, I knew that was coming. I could have predicted that one. Yeah, Python has its uses. It's like every language, though. They all have their pros and cons. They all have their place. Yeah, even JavaScript, guys. JavaScript. And you know how much I love to talk about JavaScript. Yeah, Arco with Qtile is really cool. I agree. They did a really nice job with Qtile. Yeah, Dustin Moore says, I use Qtile now! Exclamation points. Nice, Dustin. Hope you're getting along with it. I know I was very happy every time I switched to it. I'll probably go back to it at some point soon. DT, it sounded to me, Eric Dubois, his comment, that they put Qtile in Arco Linux because of you. Well, I do know I had mentioned it a couple of times when I've covered Arco Linux many times on the channel, like their i3 edition and Awesome edition and things like that. And early on, when they were just getting started, when Arco was just getting started, I mentioned that nobody does Xmonad. No distribution other than Arco, but before Arco, nobody made an Xmonad version of their distro. And I said, of course, Qtile was practically unheard of. I said it'd be really cool if they did a Qtile edition too. And shortly after that, yeah, those guys, had the Xmonad edition out, and right behind that, they had the Qtile edition out. Which, I'm really happy they did that, but I think it's great for Arco, because I think they're tapping into a market there. Again, nobody else offers Xmonad pre-built, pre-configured out of the box other than Arco. Nobody offers Qtile pre-configured out of the box other than Arco. Yeah, Kips Linux Tips. Hi, Derek. I nearly missed the show. Nah, we're just getting started, really. GNOME is trash. GNOME over every other window manager. Okay, so one of you guys has to be wrong. Vulcan says GNOME over every other window manager, and Manny says GNOME is trash. So, we have to declare a winner here. Manny, you're right. Vulcan. No, I kid, guys. Use what works for you, I always say that. Use what works for you. And I have no room to talk. I am on GNOME at the moment. Yeah. Kuberjan, JavaScript for Electron apps. Yes. Yes, that's what we need. We need everything to be rewritten in Electron. I want an Electron tiling window manager. Somebody get on that, please. Peter, I refuse to accept that JavaScript has its use. For the web, it has its use, but not for desktop stuff. Like some of these desktop environments like GNOME does, making things extensible using JavaScript, no. Just no. Yeah, Scott, Python is trash. Go is better. Arco X Monad version is beautiful, says Miguel. I agree. They did a really nice job with the X Monad edition. When I first installed it early on, when they first came out with it, I did notice it was kind of buggy as far as they're using polybar for the panel, which is fine. Most people use Xmobar with Xmonad because it's lightweight, written in Haskell, and Xmonad and Xmobar kind of designed to go with each other. That's why most people use it. You can use third-party bars like Polybar and other things, but it seemed like it was kind of buggy. There was something wrong, I guess, with their config. Something was causing some glitches with Polybar, or sometimes Polybar would just crash and disappear on you. You'd have to refresh Xmonad, restart it basically with whatever key combination you had set to restart Xmonad for Polybar to come back on the screen. There was something that was causing some weird seg fault or something that would just kill Polybar. Yeah, Peter, I agree with DT that it's really cool that Arco offers tiling window managers. I'm waiting for the fusion of a tiling window manager with KDE. The looks of KDE, but with tiling behavior. Well, I mean, the looks of KDE, KDE basically the looks of it. And a tiling window manager, so you're not going to deal that much with a lot of the things that make KDE kind of attractive. Tiling window managers typically don't have like title bars and window decorations and things like that. The panel, yeah, you could do something cool with the KDE panel, I guess. But I mean, you could make any panel. I could make Polybar probably look as good as the KDE panel. Also, a lot of the things on the KDE panel you really don't need. Like, I don't need the menu system, probably. The kickstart menu or whatever that thing is, the default one in KDE. Get rid of that. You just need a run launcher like dmenu. Although, I guess you could use something like a krunner. Yeah, Telcerus, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I use a lot of things that most other people probably wouldn't use. Yeah, thanks for the super chat, Daniel. Appreciate that, buddy. And Peter, I block almost all JavaScript. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, so GNOME, I can go ahead and tell you guys. I've done all with GNOME that I'm going to do. So I probably won't stay on GNOME much longer. Because literally, all I did with GNOME is avoided using GNOME. That's all I've done with it. I'm not using any of the GNOME apps. I'm not using their launcher. I'm using dmenu. I've got key bindings to do everything I want to do as far as opening programs, closing programs, tiling programs. So I'm not even really doing anything with GNOME. And this, honestly, is how I would live in GNOME. So I've done everything to GNOME that I need to do to make GNOME usable. So probably what I'm going to do is go ahead and hop probably in the next week or two. Whenever I decide, I don't know. And I'm going to hop to BSPWM because that was what I planned on hopping to when I hopped to GNOME. That live stream I did where you guys talked me into installing GNOME and trying to live in it, I had installed BSPWM that morning. Hadn't logged into it yet, hadn't configured it at all. But somehow we got sidetracked because somebody trolled me on a live stream and dared me to live in GNOME. But we've got to get back on track, right? We can't keep doing this, guys. I've got to get back to more respectable window management. So BSPWM will be coming soon. Let's go back to the IRC chat. You guys are chatty there. Yeah, more talk about Python is great, but just slow. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, some of you guys like Rust and Go. Python is where it's at. Python can do everything. Absolutely, Python. There's so many Python libraries, it can actually do just about anything. Some of the things you may not want to do with it, though, again, because of speed. Hey DT, have you tried Micro Emacs? It has less bloat than Emacs, but maintains the full glory of playing Twister with your fingers. So no, and I haven't tried regular Emacs, so I probably would just go with standard Emacs before I try to do anything like a Micro Emacs. I've never even heard of that. I'm assuming it's some kind of weird fork of Emacs. Of course, Vim over Emacs, of course. We've discussed this many times. Vim over everything else as far as text editing. Of course, when I say that, I'm going to get a ton of people talking up things like Sublime and VS Code. Proprietary garbage. I kid, guys, I kid. You know, I every time I say that, you know, I've said that phrase so many times in the last 2 years, proprietary garbage, about things like Chrome and Microsoft Office and Adobe Photoshop. And then every time I say that, I'll get somebody messaging me or comment on YouTube or, you know, on Mastodon. It's like, will you please stop calling that proprietary software proprietary garbage? I have to use it. And it's like, okay, that's unfortunate that you have to use it. I didn't call you garbage, though. I called the software you're using garbage. That's not the same thing. Just because you have to use Microsoft Office doesn't mean it's not proprietary garbage. Guess what? I have to use Microsoft Office. I use it every day at work. It doesn't make it any less proprietary garbage. Yeah, I actually have to use Windows on my work machine, Microsoft Office, 365, of all things. Outlook for email, OneDrive for file sharing. It's bad. But, you know, I have to use it. But if somebody walked into my office and pointed to me and said, "You're using Microsoft OneDrive, that's proprietary garbage," you know, I wouldn't say, "Well, that's mean." You were mean to me. Yeah. Oh, thanks for the super chat there, Darius. Thanks to you, I just dropped Plasma in favor of i3. Nice. You know, I'm really surprised over how many comments I get, and I get this all the time about, I switched to i3 because of you. Probably more than anything else I do. And I mentioned, I focus a lot, especially the early days of the channel, I focused a lot of attention on Openbox and Qtile, especially because I really wanted to promote those window managers. And, you know, one of the window managers I spent the least amount of time really doing anything on the channel with is i3. It's not one of my favorite window managers at all. One of my least favorite. I mean, I can use it. It's not horrible. But I still get, "Hey man, I switched to i3 because of you." I'm like, really? I guess, you know, just introducing it, you know, on video, people get interested and try it out. But it's not something I really focused a ton of time on i3. I should actually go back and revisit i3 at some point, because I haven't done any content with i3, you know, since January, I think, of this year. Let's see. Strangely enough, those very, very few videos I did on i3 have a ton of views. I don't know why. They weren't necessarily very positive. I mean, they weren't negative videos about i3, but it's just like, okay, I'm going to switch to i3 for a month. Yeah, it doesn't do this that Xmonad does. It doesn't do this that Qtile does. It's an okay tiling window manager. I can make it work. That was basically how these i3 videos work. But man, some of these videos, I got 63,000 views on this one, switching to i3 day one. And I did nothing on that video other than I installed i3. I guess that shows, like, if you're wanting some analytics about what people are interested in, there is a real need, I guess, for i3 content here on YouTube. Not a lot of people cover the i3 window manager. The only person I know that does a lot with i3 is Luke Smith, because Luke Smith is not one of these. He's not, well, he's a Linux channel, but he doesn't do strictly Linux content. But the Linux content he does, he pretty much has always lived in Arch. He doesn't hop, you know, he's a one distro kind of guy, and he's pretty much always been a one window manager kind of guy. He always lived in i3 until here recently. I think some of his fans have finally got him to switch over to Void Linux and DWM. So, but I noticed Luke hasn't posted anything lately. I know he's living in the woods and he doesn't have internet. So that's unfortunate. But it should be great when he finally gets back to posting videos. Kind of interested in see how he gets along with DWM, because I thought DWM was a much better tiling window manager than i3. And I'm wondering if Luke will find that. Because Luke is kind of the opposite of me. He really loved i3. And, you know, he was kind of regretting moving from i3 to DWM. Ah, thank you for the super chat there, George. Thank you. A toast to the next 500 awesome DT vids. Yeah, I can't wait. By the way, I use Arch. Just kidding. I'm still on Rail. There's nothing wrong with Red Hat. The distribution. We won't get on the company. I kid. I know it's kind of stylish to trash the big Linux corporations like Red Hat and SUSE and Canonical, Oracle. But they're not evil corporations. They're not Google, right? They're not Apple. They're not Facebook. Back to the chat for a second. Yeah, DWM was easier to configure than i3. Well, I would say so because there's not much to DWM as far as the customization options and stuff, especially if you're not patching it heavily. There's really nothing to DWM. It's very stripped down. Less than 2,000 lines of code. Yeah, i3 is good. I prefer Herbst Luft. Herbst Luft, I didn't mind. I lived in Herbst Luft for about a month. Wasn't one of my favorite tiling window managers either, but it was not bad. DT, i3 is hip, says Peter. People who are tired of Windows like i3 so much and other tiling window managers because you immediately see that it gives a different workflow. Yeah. And Andreth of the Abyss says Luke switched to DWM. Yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting for more of Luke's Void with DWM content myself. I think he's going to be... I think Luke will get along with it because he's so anti-bloat and minimalist anyway. He loves dmenu and ST and all those other suckless programs. It really didn't make sense that he was on i3. He should have been on DWM a long time ago. More interested in how he gets along with Void. As far as, Void, the repos are not bad, but they're not the Arch repos, especially with the AUR. But Void is more along the suckless philosophy than certainly Arch Linux is. Arch Linux really is kind of a bloated distribution, to be honest. When they build their binaries, all the use flags are there. Their kernel is the big kernel. Arch Linux is nowhere near minimal. I mean, they're definitely on the bloat end of the spectrum. Yeah, where's the celebration parrot? You know what? Yeah, we should pull up a terminal here. Let's curl. Get in front of my keyboard here. Curlparrot.live. Wasn't that it? There we go. I could watch that thing all day. That is just great. Let's zoom in. I wonder if I can zoom in while it's going. Wow, that actually works. No, it doesn't. It glitched a little bit. Well, let's rerun it now that I've zoomed in. Yeah, I don't know what kind of stress that's putting on the machine there, the dancing parrot. We better close that out. That was from the curl video I did about a month ago, where the title was Web Apps or Bloat, Use Curl Instead. That was a fun video. There was some neat stuff in there. A lot of it I knew about before. Some of it was stuff I didn't know about. Some sites that you could use curl with. Yeah, the parrot. Yeah. How do you zoom in using ST? Well, it depends on your config. I have mine set to Control Shift and either J or K, the Vim keys, right? So let me open up something. Actually, let me open up something in Vim. This will be easier to tell that, you know, I'm zoomed in. So actually, I'll open up my ST config in Vim. All right, so if I, Shift Control K, it zooms in. Now, Super Control J would zoom back out, but I'll zoom way in so you can actually see. And let's see if I can find the key binding for zooming in. Because this is a key binding I added, I think. Oh. Oh yeah, there's a lot of key bindings in here. Let's see if it'll actually jump out at me here. Anyway, my ST config is on my GitLab page, and somewhere in here you would see the key binding for Control Shift J and K. Yeah, I'm not seeing it right offhand. I know it's in here somewhere. But anyway, that's the ST config. What you would do, you change the key binding to whatever you want to change it to. And of course, then you need to sudo make install. You know, it's a suckless program, so you have to recompile every time you make a change. Now, most terminal emulators have a way to zoom in. Are you guys that prefer something a little less suckless, like Termite? Let me pull up Termite here. Termite you can zoom into as well, but I think the key bindings for it are hard-coded. You can't change them, and I have to think about what the key bindings are. I think it's Super Shift Plus. Yeah, Super Shift Plus. Well, Shift is part of the plus key. And then Super Shift minus, or just Shift minus. Shift minus, or Control minus, and Control, yeah. Anyway. LX Terminal, I think, has some built-in ways to zoom. Xterm can zoom in and out, but I think you have to add a line to the X resources file for it to be able to do that. URXVT, of course, has functionality to zoom in and out, but you have to install some kind of extension, some Perl extension pack that works with URXVT, and then put a couple of lines in your X resources file. And again, you can find my configs for all of those on my GitLab page. You can find my X resources file and that makes Xterm and URXVT able to zoom in and out on my GitLab. All right, back to the chat. I'm sorry, guys. I know I missed some of your chat. I apologize. So, yeah, one of you guys was asking me, where was it? At 1080p per video, how much space does your videos add up to? It is a ton of storage. It is a ton of storage. So you guys often ask me why I don't start a PeerTube instance and put all my videos on my own PeerTube instance to get off of YouTube, or at least to mirror my content somewhere other than YouTube. And the reason I don't do that is, okay, now I have to go get a web host, and I need a web host that seriously, I might need nearly a terabyte of storage. Just for the videos I've already made, probably. And it's not like I'm going to stop making videos. In a year, it'd be twice that much, 2 years or whatever. So that's gigantic amount of storage, right? You're talking hundreds of dollars a month to store all that stuff on a typical web host somewhere. So what I've been doing is I've been uploading all my stuff. I have a S3 bucket, an Amazon S3 bucket that is cheap storage. And I put all my stuff there. That way, if YouTube ever goes tits up, YouTube goes away, or for some reason the powers that be at YouTube ever decide, I've done something wrong and they want to take me down for whatever their political agenda may be. All my videos I've got saved. So we do have that. So then all I would have to do is just put my content somewhere else. Yeah, LBRY library is a free blockchain-based YouTube alternative. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it. I haven't checked it out. You guys have also been asking me to upload to BitChute. Like I said, I've got a backup plan because I've got all my videos anyway in a S3 storage. And so for now, YouTube is basically it. But I understand some of you guys don't want to watch my videos on YouTube. I get that. I don't want to be on YouTube, but if you don't want to be on YouTube, you could use something like YouTube DL to download the videos locally to your machine and watch them. You could just put the URL and players like VLC or whatnot, just watch them in your favorite video player on the desktop. Yeah, BitTubers is a good one. Yeah. Yeah, Donna Golly. I hope I pronounced your name right. Paul came up with a good idea for a video installing GPU driver for integrated Intel and NVIDIA graphics. That would be great. I don't have a machine with Intel. So, unfortunately, that's not something I could do. I agree, it would be a great video, though. I do not have any Intel CPUs in any of the machines I have. And as far as NVIDIA, yeah, I do have an NVIDIA card. Actually, no. I had an NVIDIA 1060 in my previous machine. I gave it away to a family member that needed a card. So I actually don't have an NVIDIA card either at the moment. So I couldn't do anything with Intel NVIDIA. My main production machine here, all the laptops I have, they're all AMD. AMD, CPU, GPU. Yeah, Clip Grab is a YouTube DL front end. Yeah, I actually have Clip Grab on this machine too. I sometimes use Clip Grab. It's great. I've used it to rip like my live streams off of YouTube. Like if I forget to record the live streams I do and I want to save them for later. So I have used Clip Grab. It's not bad. And yeah, you're right. It's basically just a YouTube DL front end. It's a GUI YouTube DL. DT, do you prefer AMD or Intel? Probably either one is fine. I just don't have any Intel. Typically, I'm cheap, especially until this machine, which is kind of a beast of a machine I bought just for this channel. I bought cheap equipment, used equipment, refurbished equipment. These laptops behind me, they're not high-end stuff. Matter of fact, that ThinkPad behind me, I spent $150 on. I bought it for less than $100 without any kind of hard drive. I put a cheap SSD drive, like a 256 gig SSD drive that cost me like $40 in it. Put some extra RAM in it. I think it had 4 gigs when I got it. It's at 8 gigs now. And all in all, $150 for that laptop. I've got a Toshiba satellite that's sometimes running instead of that ThinkPad. And man, I bought that thing new 5 years ago for like $350 5 years ago. And when I bought it at $350, it was a budget machine then. So you can imagine, it was an AMD, it still is, an AMD A8 processor. But you know what? These old machines that are kind of budget machines, they run Linux just fine. If I took C-Matrix off right now, you'd see Ubuntu Budgie 1904 on that ThinkPad, that $150 ThinkPad. And guess what? Ubuntu Budgie runs great on it, right? There's no slowness about it at all. These machines could never run Windows. They couldn't do it. Not Windows 10. Spin Viking. Yeah, thank you, sir. Says, congratulations. Surge, did you look at Cinelera GG Infinity? I have not yet, Surge. Yeah, so... yeah, it depends if you want PCIe 4. Not sure who you were referring to there. I have 4 gigs of RAM and dual-core Celeron. Actually, the Celery processors work just fine on Linux. Core 2 Duos run just fine on Linux. You find a lot of those machines out there. Go to eBay and, get you an old ThinkPad without a hard drive for $100 or less. Throw the cheapest SSD you can find in it. Make sure it has 4 gigs of RAM at least, but if you could bump it up to 8, heck yeah. And you will have a machine that will run Linux no problem. And probably would still be able to run Linux no problem 8-10 years down the road. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get pretty decent laptops. And laptops, most people are not trying to game on a laptop. Like, I don't game on my laptops. I'm not trying to render video on my laptop, so I don't need a Threadripper. I don't need these high-end graphics cards like an NVIDIA 2080 or anything like that in a laptop. A laptop, you can really go budget. Unless you're using a laptop as kind of like a desktop replacement. Some people actually use their laptop like it's a desktop. They don't have a desktop. And in that case, yeah, you might want to go buy a real machine. But if your laptop is like my laptop, it's just something where if I need a computer, I'm going out of town, or I need to take a computer to work, I'm not doing this kind of work on it. I just need to get the internet up, pull up a web browser, do simple stuff, LibreOffice. Back to the IRC chat for a second. I was ignoring you guys for a little bit. Some BSD talk, some girlfriend talk. Andy says, my girlfriend asked me to install Linux on her laptop today, and I've never been so proud in my entire life. Yeah, she's a keeper, Andy. Yeah. And don't let that one go. Yeah. Congrats, and welcome a new member of the Linux community. Yeah, Andy's girlfriend. Yeah. Put her on Arch, Andy. That way she can proudly say, by the way. Now, don't do that, Andy. Yeah, somebody's saying, yeah, install Manjaro. No, we don't want her to run back to Windows. We probably don't want to put a new user on a rolling distro. It's never a good idea, in my opinion. I know some of you, I started with Arch. I started with Gentoo. Everything just worked. I had no problems. Well, you're a special case. Yeah, try out Invidious. It's an open source alternative YouTube front end that has the same videos and comments as YouTube, but without the Google tracker and ads. That was from Manny. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to search for that. I hadn't heard of Invidious. Okay. Yeah, knocked. I wouldn't recommend to go budget on a laptop, though. At least make sure it's got a decent screen and SSD, and if possible, 6 to 8 gigs of RAM. Yeah, but you can get all of that cheap if you don't mind doing used. Not everybody wants to, go out and buy a used laptop off of eBay. You never know what you're going to get with stuff like that, but typically you're not spending much money on that stuff either. There's a million used ThinkPads out there that people are just trying to unload for very cheap. And usually when you buy a used laptop, it's not going to have a drive in it anyway. You're going to put an SSD drive in it. That's not unusual for them to already have 6 to 8 gigs of RAM, so RAM is... some of those machines shipped with that much RAM anyway. Yeah, if you buy a used laptop, it should have at least an i7 in it. Well, I guess it depends on what you want to do with it, Paul. Those cheap laptops, though, with those AMD A8 processors, they're not good processors by any stretch. But they'll do most anything your typical computer user will want to do. And we already mentioned some of the older processors like the Core 2 Duo, the Celery. Yeah, Farron OS is also great for beginners. I haven't taken a look at Farron in a while, but I would agree. Still based on what Linux Mint, and has a really nice Windows-like desktop environment on it. I would agree. It would probably be great for a beginner. And Chris says, DT, I still don't do SSD drives. Huh. You're missing out, Chris. I don't like spinning drives anymore. They're noisy. They get hot. And they're big. They take up a lot of room. I guess you don't trust SSD drives as far as you've had maybe some of them fail on you. Yeah, Cletus says, should I install Openbox on top of GNOME? No, do not do that. What I would do, uninstall GNOME first, then install Openbox, and then log into Openbox. That should solve the problem. Guys, I am going to step away for a second. But I figured, since I've got to step away for a minute, we might as well. Because I know somebody's going to ask for it at some point anyway. So. Yeah, you guys know what's about to happen. I'll be back in just a minute. Richard. I like it. That's tight. Join us now and share the software. You'll be free. Hackers, you'll be free. Join us now and share the software. You'll be free. Hackers, you'll be free. Hoarders can get piles of money. That is true. Hackers, that is true. But they cannot help their neighbors. That's not good. Hackers, that's not good. When we have enough free software at our call, hackers at our call, we'll kick out those dirty licenses evermore. Hackers evermore. One more time. Join us now and share the software. You'll be free. Hackers, you'll be free. Join us now and share the software. You'll be free. Hackers, you'll be free. Thank you, Richard. As far as the debate, whether I was going to the bathroom or getting a beer, the beer is only half empty, and the bathroom break was correct. So I don't know which one of you owes who money. So, yeah, do a third voice live. I was already ahead of you on that one. And we should make it a trio sometime. I don't know. Me, Richard. See if Linus is anybody ever recorded Linus doing the free software song? Yeah, that's not good, says Mitchell. DT, go to Eurovision. Someone has to make a metal remake of the Free Software song. That has actually already been done. Kuberjan. John O'Bacon, who used to be the community manager for Ubuntu, he is a musician, guitarist, and he did a little kind of metal cover of the Free Software song. I'm sure you could Google it and find it. It's kind of interesting. Not sure if I like it better than Richard's rendition, but yeah, this is like a cult song. It actually is. If you're right. Yeah. Too lazy to reinstall to SSD. Okay. So I'm stuck with HDD. Uninstall GNOME live on stream. That may be how we end the stream. This might be the last time we see GNOME. Yeah, he needs a haircut and a shave. You're talking about Richard? Yes. He's got that hippie look still going, and it's way past hippie time, right? That look is no longer in vogue. Yeah, you got to have the backup beard, though. Don't worry. When I came back, I did. I've got you, a JC disciple. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, I'm ahead of you on this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Total OS today did not know what he was missing until he installed an SSD. Yeah, because he runs budget equipment, kind of like these laptops that I run. Toss runs that same kind of budget equipment, and yeah, when he upgraded to a SSD from a standard hard drive, yeah, he noticed his machines performed a lot better. And I've noticed it too on these kind of old laptops, because I think he runs some older ThinkPads. Now, somebody in the IRC chat, by the way, was messaging me. What ThinkPad is that in the background? It's a E535. But pretty much all make and models of ThinkPad work great with Linux. So, yeah, a JC disciple. I can never go back to HDD. Yeah, I wouldn't go back to hard disk either. I mean, I haven't had a machine that had a hard disk in a long time. I haven't bought a hard disk in many, many years. The only thing I would use hard disk for now is if I had, a NAS and, for bulk storage, you needed some pretty large storage, and obviously hard disks are the way to go. DT, your video looks like some kind of Minecraft because of my internet. Now, it could be the stream may be buffering as well, although it looks good on my end. I have old equipment, and all of it has been upgraded to SSD. Yeah, me too. Everything I've, even like older machines, like if somebody gives me something or I buy something that's used and it has a hard drive in it, I take the hard drive out. Especially in a used machine, you don't know how old that hard drive is. It may be getting close to the point where it's ready to crap out on you anyway. I can get a 256 gig SSD for $40. It just doesn't make sense not to upgrade to SSD these days. What brand would be a reliable SSD? Well, those $40 brand SSDs, they may be reliable, but they're not the best SSDs. Those are just cheap SSDs. The best ones, I've always had good luck with Samsung Evos. As far as, I'm putting it like in production machines, I like the Samsung SSDs. A lot of people like the Western Digital. Intel makes some pretty good SSDs. I've always stuck with the Samsung Evos, though. Kind of what I do. Mushkin is the best cheap brand, says Manny. Yeah, the Mushkin ones are actually very popular. They're cheap, but they're not really cheap, Like you can get some stuff much cheaper than Mushkin. Yeah, big pod. Yeah, the Intels are really good. Yeah, now the Intels are a little pricey, some of them. Yeah, somebody mentioned Kingston. I've never had a Kingston myself, but a lot of people use them. Chris, thanks for the super chat. Fedora fanboy here. Yes. We know Chris loves his Fedora. I actually think Fedora is a great distro. If I was going to run a static release distro instead of a rolling release distro on this machine, I probably would run Fedora. Because Fedora is one of those that things typically, you can find everything just works. You have an NVIDIA card, you can get NVENC up and running pretty quick with third-party repos. Every time I put Fedora on physical equipment, I've been happy with it. I don't want to have to reinstall every 9 months or upgrade to the next version or whatever. You know, I like being on a rolling distro, but if I didn't do this channel and I wanted something a little more stable and static release model, Fedora is probably where I would be. Jonathan is asking, doesn't Fedora have a rolling version? Yeah, they have Rawhide, and yes, it does roll. You're right, that could be an option. I had actually never considered that, but yeah, that could be an option. I sometimes forget about those things because that's not really... I mean, I don't know how many Fedora users actually roll on Fedora, kind of like Debian. I know Debian has SID, the unstable branch, but the vast majority, probably 99% of Debian users, when they install Debian, what are they installing? They're installing Debian stable. That's kind of what they're doing. Not that you couldn't do it. Not that I would be against that either. I wouldn't mind trying SID on this machine at some point, you know, trying to live in SID for a while. Or Fedora Rawhide, we could do. Of course, somebody here in a minute will mention OpenSUSE Tumbleweed would be another rolling option. Solus is kind of rolling. And if Surge is in the chat, of course, he's going to be screaming, Gentoo, Gentoo. Yeah, Kips, that's why I love rolling distros. Yeah, me as well. And Paul, Cinchi is horrible. Yeah, the Cinchi installer, I'm assuming nobody is using that anymore now that Antergos is gone. Weren't they really the only ones using that thing? But yeah, that was so bad. That installer is just bad. Yeah, Fedora Silverblue, people have been asking me about that. I haven't checked out Silverblue yet. I need to. Gentoo is the best, more stable than Arch. Wow. Okay. That's all I can respond to that, Manny, as well. Arch Linux is for peasants. Temple OS is the master race. And you guys got jokes today. Oh, I don't mind, though. Troll away, Temple OS. You know, I looked at Temple OS once on the channel, and it wasn't a good experience. Yeah, back to the chat for a second. Now, Quad Fan. Hey, DT, I'm following your channel since 2 weeks because I want to switch to Linux fully. What do you think about Arco Linux? Don't want to rice myself in Arch because I'm lazy. I'm thinking if you're brand new to Linux and looking to switch to Linux, you probably don't want to be on a rolling release like Arco, which is based on Arch. Because you're going to have minor breakages and you need to know how to fix them. Don't be surprised if, you have some video driver issues and, things like that. Things crop up from time to time. And if you've been around Linux a while, you'll immediately know what those problems are and the couple of commands you need to enter to fix those kinds of issues. On a static release distro, like something like Ubuntu or Fedora, you're going to have far less of those little issues. Maybe no issues, hopefully. You should just be able to install them and they work. So I usually don't like recommending people try rolling distros as a first distro. Unless you're one of these type of people that are okay with the fact things are going to break and you're going to have to do some reading, you're going to have to figure out how to fix things on your own, I'm kind of that person. I know when something breaks, I'm going to figure out how to fix it. I'm going to do some research and I'm going to figure out how to fix it, and I always get it fixed. But some people, or the sky is falling when things break, right? And then they're just hoping somebody will bail them out in some way. If you're that kind of user, don't install a rolling release distro, not as a first Linux distro. Yeah, Belgian Cuber, where is Luke Smith? He is still in the woods with no internet as far as I know. So yeah, Luke recently moved. He bought, or has some land way out in the middle of the sticks somewhere with no internet. I think he's building a cabin or something. So I don't know what kind of regular content you'll be getting from Luke in the future. Hopefully we'll get some new content from him soon. And just sitting here looking at some of what we've done here in the past. Well, we've done some crazy stuff. Xmonad day 1. Yeah, that was a great video. I was so happy to switch. I think I went from i3 to Xmonad. That was awesome. I know you i3 fans, you probably have no idea what you're missing out by not being on Xmonad. Of course, you miss the joy of learning how to write your config file in Haskell. Now, the fake hacking tools. That was a good video. One of the interesting things about the videos I've made, if I sorted by most popular, it's interesting what people find, what people are interested in. Like the top 5 reasons to run Arch Linux. I get why that has a lot of eyeballs. Arch Linux is a very popular Linux distribution, and this channel, even though that's not the intent behind it, I know I'm sometimes seen as kind of an Arch-centric kind of channel. Do a lot with Arch and Arch-based distros. I get that. Vim. Vim makes everything better, especially your file manager and shell. I don't know why that video is as popular as it is, because Vim is not a sexy topic. So I have no idea why people thought that video needed to be watched as many times as that's been watched. And then, yeah, we mentioned this earlier, i3. Switching to i3 day 1. You guys were really interested in that. The Edex UI terminal. Wow, you guys were really interested in that one. That was that Electron-based terminal that looks like something out of a Hollywood hacker movie. I'm not sure if I have that installed on this machine, because when I recorded that video, I was still on my other machine. But, I mean, that was a very cool terminal emulator, though. And some of the Edex in action. But it looks something straight out of Hollywood, right? I mean, it looks kind of crazy. And it actually had some really neat functionality, like if I had a touchscreen monitor, like these keyboard things on the screen, the folders and stuff, clicking, just touching them would work. I don't have a touchscreen monitor to test that kind of stuff out. But anyway, it was a kind of a neat program. And that's, man, a lot of you guys were interested in that video, which again, I sometimes find like some of the videos I make, and I think, man, nobody will be interested in this stuff. And I don't even spend that much time on some of these videos. They're like, I don't do a ton of research or ton of editing. Sometimes I just record them in one take, throw them up on YouTube, and they get tens of thousands of views. And then sometimes I really put effort into a topic, that I think is important, and nobody watches it. It's one of those weird things. You never know what people are going to be interested in as far as content. Of course, some of it has to do with algorithms too, how your certain videos are promoted in YouTube. Search engine result pages, especially, Yeah, I've only been coding this for like 4 years, says Telsaurus. You've been learning programming for 4 years? Kuberjan, Luke sympathizes with the Nazis, though. Okay. I doubt that, but okay. Just seeing some of Luke's content. I think Luke, though, being the kind of intelligent guy he is, he doesn't maybe subscribe to, the Nazis are the worst thing ever kind of talk that people love to just throw out there constantly. Or, if anything that is wrong in the world, you immediately compare them to Hitler and the Nazis. And, that's kind of gotten a little old, a little played out. It's kind of a meme. And I know people like Luke probably don't like playing that. Now, some people have a different kind of view, especially on like morality. What is good, what is evil? Morality, is it subjective? Or some of that gets into thoughts as far as religious discussions and things like that. But I doubt Luke is a Nazi or Nazi sympathizer. I've seen enough of his content. Yeah, I don't think they would welcome him into their ranks. Yeah, Luke has some economic misconceptions. Okay, well, I don't know about that, though. Let's see. By definition, morality is subjective, says Peter. Yes, it is. And I think that's the point some people make, especially, like I said, Luke is, of course, a very brilliant guy. He's definitely a sharp fellow. So I think sometimes, yeah, he tries to make a point with some of the things he puts out there. He knows he shocks people with it, but he's making a point. Yeah, DT, thanks for answering. I'm familiar with Debian. It's my web dev server at home. Your opinion about backups, Btrfs, or Git the dot files. So as far as backups, you should, well, your config files. You mentioned the dot files. Yeah, just Git. There's no reason to do anything other than Git. It's not that much anyway. Typically, your config files, those hidden files, the dot files, just put them on GitHub or GitLab, whatever you use. As far as data, like your documents, I would put them on like an external drive. Is what I would do if you have a lot of them, especially. You could use cloud storage for backup too. You could, put it on your Nextcloud or Dropbox or Megasync or whatever. Some of this will depend on how much stuff you're trying to back up. I mean, if you're talking a few 100 megabytes of data you're trying to back up, or are you talking a couple 100 gigs? I mean, of course, if you got a ton of stuff to back up, then you start having to get into things like a NAS, or maybe, long-term storage, things like, some of the Amazon services. There's a lot of ways to go. The main thing is not what you pick for a backup, is that you're actually backing up. If you've got anything you would be totally hosed if you lost, make a backup. And thanks for the super chat there, Carol. Appreciate that. Yeah, only problem with living off the grid is bad or no internet. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily bad or not, though. I mean, it depends. I mean, I guess it's bad for those of you wanting content from somebody like Luke, who's now living in the woods, but I doubt Luke is missing the internet. He's probably just fine out in the woods, doing whatever he's doing, farming and building the cabin and hunting, fishing. I know I would be fine. If I could walk away from this and had someplace out in the woods somewhere, I would just be in heaven. You know, I would miss all of this, but it's not like, you know, I would, you know, be just wasting away in some hell, you know, being out in the woods, you know, in nature. No, it would be great. Thanks for the super chat there, Jesse. Thank you, sir. Let's see, Carol, could you write down your set for streaming? I'm not sure what you're asking there. My set for streaming. You're asking about some of what I use to stream. I use OBS, of course, to do these streams. You're talking about some of the hardware I use. Well, that's certainly a good discussion we could get into, too. So, some of what I use. So, my camera here is a Panasonic Lumix G7. My main camera. Now, the camera back here behind me is a webcam. Logitech C922. The main production machine here, we got a Threadripper 1920, which is a 12-core, 24-thread Threadripper. It's got a Radeon 7 for a GPU. Microphone, that is a Blue Baby Bottle SL. Really nice mic. This has been a great purchase. Costs like $400, but it's great. It's XLR mic, so because it's XLR instead of a USB mic like a Blue Yeti, you do have to have a USB interface or a mixer to actually plug this thing into. I have a USB interface. I have the Scarlett. Here's the box. The Scarlett 2i2. Pretty standard, pretty popular USB interface. So that's some of the equipment I'm using. And if you were asking about software, I mean, for streaming, OBS is really all I use for live streaming. If you're talking about pre-recorded stuff, I edit all my videos as far as video editing in Kdenlive. If I do any audio editing, I use Audacity. Make all the thumbnails in GIMP. That's about it. I mean, it's all free and open source solutions too that go into making this. So, yeah, how about your keyboards? Okay, the keyboard. So ignore this keyboard here. I've had this keyboard here sitting here for weeks, but I don't actually use it. I needed it for something the other day. So the keyboard I'm actually, you guys seeing me type on all day, or actually here, especially on this microphone. This is the ErgoDox Easy. And I did a video on the ErgoDox, actually. This cost me almost $400 as currently configured, the ErgoDox keyboard. Let's see. Let me sort some of this. Matter of fact, I actually talked to the CEO of ErgoDox after I made that video. He contacted me. He loved the video I did about the keyboard. And he had mentioned that at some point we may get together and he may do an interview to print on their website of, you know, how I'm getting along with the keyboard and everything, which would be kind of cool. And here's some of that. Let's see if I can actually find where the keyboard was in action. But that's a good picture of the keyboard. So it's, you know, got two halves basically. One for your left hand, one for your right hand. It's got the tilt arms, which are optional, but I paid for them and I do use them. I have it slightly elevated in the back. It does have LED lights, and that's optional too, but I paid for it. You can, let me switch scenes and you can see right now I currently have it with this red color, but you can change the color. It's got any color of the rainbow, you can adjust it. Then I've got the rubber palm rests, and those are great, very comfortable. I'm really glad I paid for the palm rest too. I bought the total package. I also bought this little thing, has nothing to do with the keyboard, but it was an extra, an option. This little fidget toy sits in this base, but see if I can focus. There. It's a little clicky. Basically a little ball with key switches. So it's a little fidget tool while you're working. Also would be great just to test out new key switches, because you can pop those key switches off and put new ones on if you wanted to play with something you weren't familiar with. I'm using the Qtile copper switches, which I love. Initially, man, they were a lot to get used to at first, the Qtile copper switches, because they're a little sensitive. They're tactile. I mean, they're tactile. They're not silent. You guys can hear me when I'm typing, but they're a little sensitive. Just the slightest pressure does activate them. And that took a little bit of getting used to from other keyboards I was using. But now that I've been using this keyboard for a while, I love it. And I like the Qtile copper switches. I don't think I need to switch them out to anything else. Back to the chat. And what switches are in the keyboard? Okay, the Qtile copper, yeah. It looks like mittens. Yeah, they kind of do, actually. It kind of does look like mittens. Of course, the point of this is, your typical keyboard. Your standard 110 key keyboard, putting it down in front of you, it's kind of like everything is right here. But with these two halves, I can spread them out, get them shoulder width, where everything's kind of open. Your chest is open. And I know some of you guys are interested in some of the ergonomic aspects. That's one of them, is the fact that you can split these halves and, put them as far apart or at any angle. And then with the tilt rests, you can adjust the height, in the back or the front or however it is you want to do it. I will say this keyboard did take a good month of getting used to, especially since I still had to use a standard QWERTY keyboard at work. Now though, when I'm on my keyboard all day at work, typing, doing whatever, and then I come home to this, it's just seamless. I can switch from this keyboard to any other keyboard, and it's not a shock to my system. I'm going to try to catch up on some of the chat. Yeah, DT, excuses. You are so using that keyboard. No, actually, Blackworm, I occasionally will need that keyboard for something. It's because I've just been lazy. I need to fix the ergo docks. I haven't programmed the ergo docks to where I can do Control Alt and the function keys to drop into a TTY prompt when I need it. I almost never need to go to a TTY prompt, of course. How often do you do that? But when I need it, I need that keyboard. And the other thing is, this desktop sometimes stays a mess. That keyboard had been laying here. I haven't touched it probably in a month, but it's been laying in that same spot since the last time I used it for one key combination, basically. But I mean, I don't know where else I would put it. I would just open a closet and just throw it in with some other junk. I need to be more organized, actually, with some of my stuff. I've got stuff piled up. You guys see boxes back here behind me, and with computer stuff. In the webcam angle, you can see the ErgoDocs boxes still laying here next to the desk. And how long have I had the ErgoDocs now? 2 months? And why are these boxes still sitting here? I need to clean up a little bit. Yeah, Telsaurus. Nuclear has a good record compared to traditional power plants. Yeah, they don't really have the kinds of problems I think a lot of people tend to think. Of course, there is the waste problem. You got to do something with the waste. Yeah, it's retro. Ugh. XChat just crashed. Huh. Let me get back to the IRC chat. By the way, I should zoom in so you guys can read some of this. Yeah, HexChat has always been solid for me. HexChat comes pre-installed on a lot of Linux distros for an IRC chat. Typically, I install IRC, though. You guys see the terminal IRC chat here. This is IRSSI, I-R-S-S-I. All right, GNU stands for GNU isn't Unix. Actually, GNU stands for GNU's not Unix, but yeah, you're right. Although even that, I mean, Richard Stallman and the GNU guys were kind of trying to make a Unix that wasn't Unix, because obviously you can't make something and call it Unix because the trademark was on. So yeah, I mean, that's the name, GNU's not Unix. It kind of is, but they can't call it Unix. That's why they named it GNU. It's not Unix. So, kind of a poor name, actually, when you think about it. And it causes so many problems because now you've got GNU pronounced GNU instead of GNU or GNU, like so many people try to pronounce it. And then let's not even get into GNOME, because that's why GNOME is pronounced GNOME, is because the G in GNOME actually stands for GNU. And I still get messages, at least 10 a week. I get at least 10 comments a week on this channel. And I'm not kidding. Every single week. Hey man, will you please quit calling it GNOME? That's why in that little montage yesterday, you know, every time I mentioned GNOME on camera, or, you know, responding to you guys criticizing me about GNOME, I put a few of those in that little montage yesterday. And still, people keep telling me about it. Of course, part of the problem is, you know, you get new subscribers. You're constantly getting new subscribers. So most people have never seen some of those really old videos where I discussed exactly why it's called GNOME. And I still get people, man, you're an idiot. Why are you calling it GNOME? It's GNOME. Get a dictionary. And I've gotten to the point now, because I get those so many times now, I don't even respond. Or what I do is I just link to that GNOME video I did. I actually did a video about why it's GNOME, and I spelled it G-U-H. No, like GNOME. All right. Back to the chat. I'm sorry, my chat actually froze up a little bit. It was, you guys were chatting away, but mine was frozen. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Prophetic 777, sup. Chillin'. Always got to say it twice. That's what the hip kids do. Yeah, DT, do you know any good Gmail alternative? I've never used webmail. Sorry. I've always owned my own domains and just had my own desktop email clients and never used Gmail or Proton or Yahoo Mail or Hotmail or any of that stuff back in the day. Unless I needed just some one-time use throwaway account for something. But Proton Mail seems to be where everybody's at these days. So. Yeah, Manny says GNU is Unix with bloat attached. Yeah, but that's part of being GNU. Like all the GNU apps are kind of like that. Emacs, bloated as hell. Of course, Luke Smith famously did a video about how Bash, GNU Bash, is bloat as far as the shell. He took a lot of heat for that too. Understandably. There are just some things that are off limits to discuss. You can't talk about Bash, you know, the way he did. Yeah, any recommendations on Linux books? Actually, I do. Give me a second. So you guys that are wanting some interesting reading about Linux, and not just learning Linux, but you want to know about the history, because You can learn about Linux reading the Arch Wiki. You want to know about the movement, right? The philosophy, how this thing was built, the people that built it. There are 2 books I recommend you guys get. First one, Free as in Freedom. This was written by Sam Williams. Of course, it is the story of Richard Stallman, his journey as far as, his college career at MIT, and then, championing free software, starting the GNU project, Emacs, the free software movement, that whole course of history, and how he basically got people on board, over a number of decades for all of that. The second book I recommend, The Cathedral and the Bazaar by Eric Raymond. Eric Raymond is one of the guys that originally coined the term open source. So if you're wondering about the free software movement and the open source software movement, check out Free as in Freedom and The Cathedral and the Bazaar. All right. I missed some of the chat there. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Torin. DT, maybe you and Tux Digital should do a collab on the way to pronounce GNOME. Does Michael at Tux Digital not pronounce GNOME correctly? I think he does. I hope he does. I would expect better of Michael if he pronounced it GNOME. I hope he doesn't do that. Yeah, the word GNOME is not all uppercase. That's right. GNOME is all uppercase because it's an acronym. Good point. Yeah, yes, those are just giant solar and wind farms and not a great idea. We're still on the energy discussions. Yeah, you can't bash on Bash. You absolutely cannot. There are some things really that are all off limits. When he talked about Bash, because his channel, he focuses on a lot of nerdy content, so a lot of people that live in the shell all day. So when you start talking about their precious Bash, yeah, you took it a step too far. Kind of like when people talk about systemd. I get people message me all the time because I say systemd really ain't bad. And, people get all twisted about systemd. Let's not even bring... guys, ignore that I mentioned systemd, please. Another good book is In the Beginning Was the Command Line, says Mitchell. Okay. By the way, Free as in Freedom is also free as in beer. Well, of course, what Stallman is talking about when he says free as in freedom, he's not talking about cost. He's talking about free as in freedom. When he's talking about free as in beer, he'll actually say free as in beer. But yeah, I get what you're trying to say there. Yeah, Present Arms. How you doing, sir? How you doing, Allie? Good to see you. Yeah, does it mention his unsavory beliefs, says Zib, about Stallman? Not in that book. Some of that, as far as his interviews on some of the crazier topics, came later. Like that particular book, I don't think goes past like the early 90s. Like the very beginning of GNU/Linux. So you're talking about, heck, almost 25, maybe 30 years of stuff that has passed since what that book covers. Let's see. Do you acknowledge that most people could easily reduce their footprint with 100% or more? Are we still talking about our carbon footprint, Peter? Yeah. No, Allie, I asked you not to go there. Start a systemd versus proper init flame war. No, I shouldn't have mentioned systemd. I cringed a little bit when I mentioned it. I knew I started something. Yeah. Fun Linux Laptop says, when Niagara Falls was tapped for electricity in the 1890s, there was much concern about not impacting the environment. Well, of course, you don't want to take like a beautiful, scenic, natural resource that, people visit, for vacation. You don't want to take your your landmarks and rape them, you know, just for energy. I can understand why people would be concerned about that. I mean, we do have to take care of the environment, right? As the dominant species on the planet, right? It's kind of our responsibility, right? We have to take care of the planet. I know some people want to ignore that responsibility sometimes, but you really can't. Yeah, that's just part of it. Goes with the territory. I mean, we run the planet, right? We're the dominant species, you know, and it's up to us to take care of the environment, take care of the wildlife, make sure we're not negatively impacting everything else. Yeah, the chat has gone on a tangent. Yeah, it surely has. I would agree with that. Well, you know what, guys? I've been streaming almost 2 hours. So, one of you guys early on in the stream mentioned a good way to end the stream would be for me to go ahead and kill GNOME. Uninstall GNOME and let's move on to something else. Because I'm done with it. Absolutely, I am done with GNOME. So, yeah, let's pull up a terminal. We'll zoom in, make sure everybody can see. Sudo pacman -r ns. How about we remove GNOME and GNOME dash, was it extra or extras with a S? Heck, let's just see what happens. What's the worst that can go wrong here? Oh, we can't remove some of this because it's going to gonna remove a la carte Chrome GNOME shell. Why do I have that? That was probably something that needed to be installed, maybe for that material shell video I did a while back. Why would it remove Geary? Geary is not even a GNOME app. Network Manager applet, Network Manager Dispatcher. Come on now. It won't let me remove Nautilus. Well, I can understand why removing Nautilus might be a problem. Come on now. Why does, you see, this is why GNOME I think this is why everybody was talking about it's evil, right? This is, if they weren't, then I'm calling it evil now, right? I should do an evil GNOME video. rm-rf root will take care of GNOME. I'm sure it would, but I'm not going to run that command here on video. Is there no force option in Pacman? I'm sure I could. But some of that I would be a little concerned about. For one thing, Geary, I do use Geary for email. I mean, I have NeoMut also on the system for terminal email, but sometimes I use Geary if I need a GUI for email, like for HTML emails or whatnot. Of course, Zib says try moving to another desktop, moving to it, and then try removing it. That may work. For one thing, part of what it was complaining about, the network manager and the keyring for Geary, I'm actually in GNOME right now, so I can understand why it may not want me to wipe out GNOME if I'm using the GNOME network manager and the GNOME keyring, the policy kit or whatever, that so many programs like Geary rely on. So that could be the issue. Yeah, just purge GNOME and install Monte. We're not installing any more full desktop environments. By the way, just to make sure it's on here, but I think I already got it. The next one we're moving to, next time you see me at BSPWM, it is already here, so I'll just decline that. So we've got BSPWM installed. You also have to have, when you move to BSPWM, you're going to need SXHKD. The simple X hotkey daemon, that's what controls all your key bindings in BSPWM. So you got to install that. I've already got it installed. I really just wanted to blow away GNOME. That's unfortunate. I may just have to drop into a TTY. Get rid of GNOME after the stream. Yeah, use WPA supplicant. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's probably already installed. Some of this it's complaining about is GNOME. GNOME, you know, all of this is tied in to GNOME. GNOME uses its own networking and everything. Kill all GNOME. Well, I could kill GNOME. That's not a problem. It's going to kill the stream, though. Yeah, sudo rm-rf/gnome-bloat. All right, Cooperjan, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to kill the stream here in another couple of minutes. Lumpy Gravy says he's been living in BSPWM for 6 months. Yeah. All right. Man, I really wanted to get rid of GNOME on camera. That's unfortunate. That is just unfortunate. I don't know what else to do, though. I don't think there's anything I could do still be in GNOME while recording. I mean, one of you guys asked me to kill GNOME. I mean, would that even work? Kill all GNOME? Is that even a command that you say no process found? Yeah, I didn't think that would work. A cooking video soon? I don't have any cooking videos. Just try to remove GNOME-shell. Yeah, we could do that. I want all of it gone, though. I want gedit. I mean, it's not necessarily GNOME itself I want gone. I installed the whole thing. You know, all the apps. Okay, I don't know why it's not taking my password. Okay, it finally did. Now, it won't uninstall just the GNOME shell by itself. It's still complaining about Chrome GNOME shell. You know what? I can't help it, guys. I know we're about to get sidetracked here, but we're going to get this done. First of all, I don't even know what Chrome GNOME shell is and why it's on here. Can we just get rid of that? Yes. Let's get rid of that. GDM is on here. I know why GDM is on here, but I don't use it. I use LightDM anyway. Even with GNOME, I was using LightDM. I never even enabled GDM, so can we just get rid of it? Yes. What was the other one it was complaining about? GNOME shell extensions? Oh. It may not let me get rid of that one. Because I think that would break some of the extensions, wouldn't it? No, it did. And now, let's just try to remove GNOME shell. Okay, we removed GNOME shell. Awesome. Let's see now if it would actually let me just remove the rest of GNOME. Because again, I want all the GNOME applications gone. Because that's just bloat that's taking up disk space. Because I don't use any of them. Or I wasn't using any of them before a few days ago. So, and still complaining about a la carte. Removing GNOME menus, breaks dependency. We're going to have to remove them one at a time, I think. Let's see if we can remove GNOME-menus. No, because it's still complaining about a la carte. I don't need a la carte then. Can we remove both of them? Okay. Now, what is it? Will it complain about? The GNOME keyring. Network Manager applet. And you know what? I removed the GNOME shell. I think what I probably need to do is just go ahead. I mean, I kind of know what I want to get rid of anyway. I want to get rid of gedit. I'll never use it. I want to get rid of Nautilus. I'll never use it. Well, I have to spell it right. I mean, what GNOME boxes is on here. I use VirtualBox, of course. I mean, look at all that. Just from those 3 programs, you know, it removed 34 packages. Yeah, so I'll just have to go through and take a look at everything that's on here. Yeah, you have to delete the dependencies, so use -rs, yeah. Well, I can run a command in Pacman that I can get rid of all the orphaned packages that'll be left on the system. So that's not a problem there, Big Bud. Telcerus, only 34 packages, yeah. Yeah, for the text editor, for the file manager, and for GNOME boxes, which is a front end to KVM. Yeah, your machine is going on a diet. You know, while we're here, before we kill the stream, we might as well. Let's see what else we need to kill. Wow, that animation is just wickedly slow. So I need to get rid of GNOME Books, GNOME Calendar, GNOME Contacts. Oh, let's see what else on here. Any obvious GNOME apps that I need to. And most of. No, I think I've. Epiphany has got to go. GNOME Web has got to go. I definitely will never use Epiphany. So. Well, what else was it? GNOME Web. Not GNOME Web. Weather. Took care of a couple of more there. I think we'll call that a day as far as removing GNOME. The thing is, when I log out of here, there's no coming back to GNOME. So this is it. As soon as I log out, I have to go to BSPWM like right away. Or at least one of the other 6 or 7 tiling window managers I have on the system that's already set up. I may log into Xmonad or Qtile as soon as I'm done in the stream, because I got to configure BSPWM really before I could use it. Yeah, it's a pity DT did not do a before versus after comparison. Disk space, CPU load, RAM. Yeah, it'd be hard to do that while streaming, though. Wouldn't be a fair comparison. If I was doing a pre-recorded video, yeah, that would have been cool. And present arms. You need a 64-thread Threadripper and a 2080 Ti to handle the GNOME transitions. Yeah, that's crazy that the animations are so slow on this machine, right? This is a beast of a machine. If I'm struggling, yeah, I can't imagine, yeah, if I was running like a Core 2 Duo or one of the Celery processors, right? Yeah, dependency hell. Yeah, nah, it's just complaining because those big meta packages, the GNOME and the GNOME-Extra, you know, they have so much in them, you know. Some of what you're trying to remove breaks dependencies on some of the stuff that'd still be left on the system. So you have to go in there and remove things one at a time until finally I'll be able to run those commands. And I mean, the terminal tells you exactly what's causing the problem. You know, it tells you the dependencies that are causing the problem. So you go in there, fix those first, and then it should let me run the remove GNOME command. Yeah, Big Pod, during a stream, I compiled my own version of Visual Studio Code. Awesome, Big Pod. I should have done that too. Why didn't I? Oh, because of Vim. That's why I didn't do that. Hey, Steve. Steve says hi. You guys not subscribed to Steve's very own, go check him out. Yeah, good night, DT. I'm out. Yeah, it's about time for me to get out of here, too. I gotta get to bed early tonight. I gotta be at work very early in the morning, too. Yeah, EB, thanks for the stream. Thanks, EB. Appreciate that. You guys check out English Bob as well. All right, guys. Well, let me go ahead and get out of here. Yeah, thanks, Katrina. Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you, Hank. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Of course, before I go, I'm going to thank these people here. And you know what? I want to thank each and every one of you guys. I want to thank Ansem, Chris, the other Chris, Dylan, George, Mitchell, Natek, Philip, Rob, Robert, Sam, Willie, Alex, Second Alex, Andrea, Andrew, Tony, Apostolus, Apostolius. I butchered that name. I apologize. Ben, Benjamin, Bob, Brett, Bruno, Brian, Berksman, Call Me Joe, Carlos, Chip, Chris, Christian, CK, Cider, Dan, David, the other David, a third David, Dennis, Donald, Eduardo, Farid, Francisco, GR, Gabriel, Gary, Grayson, Hendricks, Liari, Interceptor, James, Jan, Jason, Jeff, Johan, Jumble Sailor, Carl, Katrina, Keith, the other Keith, Leor, Marcus, the other Marcus. We've got Mark, Martin, Matthias, Max, Michael, Mr. Amish, Murray, Nick, Ollie, Paul, the other Paul, Bazzer, Present Arms, Richard, Rob, Robert, Sam, Sebastian, Sleepy Eyes, Stefan, Steve, Spine, Swami, Tim, Troy, Willem, Will, Zur, Moose. I might have butchered that one. I do apologize to Bella, John, Ron, and Stian. I want to thank these guys. They help support me over on Patreon. Without these guys, these 500 videos wouldn't have been possible. Sincere thank you. Also want to thank all you guys that are still hanging out in the chat here. Sincerely. These last couple of hours here have been fun. I like interacting with all you guys. So appreciate you guys. Anthem, Big Pod, Can, Chillin', Cletus, Darius. We got Zeb still in the chat. Telsaris, Pseudo Reboot, Steve, Spin Viking, Present Arms, Plasma, Peter, Katrina, Hink. Thank you guys. EB. All right, guys, let me get out of here. Peace.